A peasant cart, loaded with a heap of hay, came rattling down the road from the opposite direction.
Clear the road!
Bellowed Count Caldwell, standing in his stirrups.
Make way for your queen!
The peasants obediently turned their cart into the roadside nettles. As she passed, Meve glanced towards it and froze. Atop the hay bale lay a badly wounded man gripped by fever. The thick, sweet stench of rot wafted from his bandaged legs.
Gods. Who did this to him?
Meve asked.
Bandits?
Nay, milady,
Replied the cartman.
'twere a beast. Out to the east, down Wetterton way, lies a boneyard, old as the elves, they say.
The peasant continued.
Clayton was setting snares round about there. Came running back to us, drenched in blood, rattling on about a long-haired wench come climbing out a grave. We's taken him to the good sisters of At.A here on Bridge. Perhaps they can help him.
I'm certain they can. And will.
Replied the queen, though just looking at the wounded wretch, she knew he'd expire before nightfall.
God speed you on your journey.
The queen whistled, and her mare resumed its trot.
Shall I send for a witcher, your grace?
Caldwell asked.
One of those freaks should make short work of the monster.
Until we apprehend the bandits, I shan't allow a single soul to leave our company. Even on such an important mission as finding a witcher.
Meve replied.
Any who did would be captured at once. But, if fate brings us near Wetterton, perhaps we'll see to this monstrous harridan ourselves.
Your grace, we've only just fought beasts and scarcely escaped with our lives. This she-beast will take a silver sword. Magic formulae.
Yet a dozen arbalists will have to suffice.
The queen said, calmly but firmly.
And please, Caldwell, do stiffen your spine a bit. Now onward.
Off to Wetterton, are ye? Bonny tune that. Just the folk a be on shite. Off to Wetterton, are ye? Bonny tune that. Just the folk a be on shite. Off to Wetterton, are ye? Bonny tune that. Just the folk a be on shite.
As they neared Wetterton, the queen ordered her company to halt. She then sent men to the town for supplies. Those sent returned more quickly than she'd assumed they would, their satchels empty, their mounts foaming at the mouth.
Your Majesty, the townsfolk have gone right mad. Herded all the elves and dwarves at Market Square. 'Tis a slaughter.
The queen knew well that if she failed to intervene, the town's streets would flow with non-human blood. Just as she knew her meager force might not subdue an enraged crowd.
What is your command, your grace?
Reynard's question pierced the silence.
What can it be, dear friend?
Answered the queen. then spurred her mount and rode off towards the town. Her troops followed, running as fast as their legs would carry them. When they passed inside the town gate, they saw corpses lining the gutters. Meve realized she had arrived too late to prevent a tragedy. The crowd was drunk on blood. Its rage would need to be quelled with an iron fist.
Step away, or see your heads bounce down the cobblestones! Reynard, who started this? I must know. So much hatred. We must put a stop to it.
Got any victuals? Hungry like a wolf, I am.
Company! We must strike the largest clusters! Disperse the mob!
Step away, or see your heads bounce down the cobblestones! Reynard, who started this? I must know. So much hatred. We must put a stop to it.
Got any victuals? Hungry like a wolf, I am.
We must trust each... We must strike the largest clusters! Disperse the mob!
Happily, Meve restored order without suffering any losses. Reynard then learned that a nobleman's ire had triggered the violence, ire at having discovered a theft.
Suspicion fell on the non-humans he employed. He accused them, they protested, and the row soon engulfed the town. But there's something else, Your Grace.
Reynard gestured towards an aged man who stood grieving, his face in his hands.
I've witnesses who claim the strays of Sparla are the thieves.
Though the tragedy seemed the result of a misunderstanding, justice would have to be served. Those responsible for the slaughter would need to be punished. The question was, how severely?
You are guilty. That can't be denied.
Said the Queen, turning towards the bloody rioting's instigators.
A false rumor you took, and turned into a cruel lynch. Thus punishment is your lot. A public lashing, fines, imprisonment. But you shall keep your lives, for enough blood has been spilt here this day.
Wetterton's inhabitants breathed a sigh of relief. But the non-human survivors took offense at the lenient sentence. Soon after, the Lyrian army's elves and dwarves quietly disappeared, deserted. Few doubted the reason. They would not risk their necks for a queen who held their lives in such low regard.
They should have stayed put beneath their mount. We'd not have had no problem then. They should have stayed put beneath their mount. We'd not have had no problem then.
Yes, Your Grace?
It's time I attended to...
Some bandits on thy road round Dawn. Those that call themselves the Strays. Beware, those bandits, dressed as demons they was. Horns on their heads and pig snouts instead of noses.
to the gods. You shall be rewarded. Kneel and pay homage to the gods. You shall be rewarded.
Our ballista, your command.
Got any victuals? Hungry like a wolf, I am.
One goes all I need.
The Lyrians entered the graveyard. Crickets chirped in its tall, windswept grass, and lush green moss covered its crumbling gravestones. Only a fresh bloodstain upon a mausoleum wall suggested that something disturbed the dead in their rest and hunted the living.
Save your tears through earth your grief.
An eerie voice sang, its ghastly lament standing Meve's hair on end.
Soon your life too shall cease as you pass into the eternal glow.
A pockmarked, pustule-ridden creature crawled out from behind some gravestones. It vaguely resembled a shriveled, hunchbacked hag, until its head split into two halves, forming a tooth-spiked maw.
Attack! Everyone!
Should have listened to me, old lady. I'm a monster. This harvest will be reaping black-clad heads. One bolt's all I need. Give me a time.
What? Who dares?
Our ballista, your command.
What was that filth?
The queen croaked hoarsely as the dying monster writhed in agony at her feet.
I know not, your grace,
replied Reynard.
but to be safe, I would have the corpse chopped up and burned. Elsewise, we will not be certain it shall not return.
Yes, have it done.
Meve said, brushing her hair from her beaded brow.
But quickly, lest dusk catch us in this foul place.
The Lyrians soon resumed their march. As they left the cemetery behind them, some believed they still heard the haunting dirge upon the air. Or was it just the wind, whistling past mossy tombstones?